everyone, welcome back. This is going to be a video for memory work, review game, and at-home ideas for CC Cycle 2 and Week 15. This week, we are learning metric measurements. And so we are going to break out our rulers, and we'll just show on the ruler what the millimeters look like, what the centimeters look like, then we'll go from there bigger. We sing this section of math to the tune of One Little, Two Little, and it sounds like this. 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. These are metric measurements. So 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. 100 meters equals 1 kilometer. These are metric measurements. All right, so as you're doing this and introducing this to the students, obviously we can point these things out on the ruler in the beginning. Then it gets a little bit bigger. If you happen to have a meter stick, that would be awesome. I do not, but put out your hands like this. It's about a meter. I feel like that's kind of like a meter stick. And then you can also, for kilometer, you can refer back to last week when we talked about what a mile is, how many times around a track that is, and then that gives us an idea of how big a kilometer is. So that is math. I have included down below in the description of this video just a link to a lot of visuals to all the weeks of math that somebody posted on CC Connected. That visual is still linked. I'll keep it linked in the description of this video because it also has visuals for this week. So it shows you the millimeters on the ruler, the centimeters on the ruler, and then it kind of has different ideas and visuals to show all the rest. So that is linked below if you are interested. For English this week, we are learning 4 purposes of sentences. And so they are declarative, exclamatory. Declarative is usually ended with a period and it's making a statement. So that's how we're doing this. Exclamatory is showing emotion or excitement, right? Or feeling. And so that usually ends with an exclamation mark. So we will do this when we say exclamatory. Interrogative asks a question and ends in a question mark. And then imperative is like a command. So that usually ends in a period or sometimes an exclamation mark. And so what I do for this week is I draw these symbols, these punctuations up on the board next to each of them. And then as we're going through the motions of declarative, exclamatory, interrogative, or imperative, we give each of the kids a chance to stand up at the board and point to each of these things, each of these punctuations as we get to them. So a period, exclamation mark, question mark, or a period and an exclamation mark. And that's how we cover English. For history, tell me about World War I. We are referring back to World War I that we started last week. However, this week it includes more places and names. And so our first year through, we just did a little skit of it. I wrote out some words on paper. You could use cardstock or whatever works for you. But we walk through the history sentence. First, I read it up on the board, and then we walk through it with these visuals. So somebody will hold World War I when we say that. Then we have Great Britain, and then we have France, and Russia, and Austria and Hungary. And then we have Germany, the year that all this is taking place, and then in the end, the song talks about how the United States joined the Allies. So we have all those as visuals as we're going through the entire statement. If you don't want to go through creating these before class and the hassle of that, to simplify it, you could just take out your world map and then point to all these things or draw some of these flags up on your board, whichever you prefer. And then for when we say we're allies, do the motion of allies. So you can do this, you could do, this is the ASL sign for ally, is just shaking of hands like you're a team. Okay, so when we say that part of the song, you could go allies. Then you have, they fought against Austria, Hungary, and Germany, which were called the Central Powers. So you could do the sign for power. And in 1917, you could sign that, 1917. And the United States entered the war assisting the Allies. Do that again. So you could just throw in a few motions as you sing through the song if you wanted just a simple way to kind of make it through this. But if you do want to act it out, we use these visual cards, and then as we sing each of these parts of the song, that each person is holding that part of the song. When we get to it, they raise their card, and then all the allies stand together in the skit, and then the Central Powers stand together when they hold their card, and then when the United States joins the Allies, they go and stand with all the countries that were allies. So I hope that makes sense. That's how we covered our history for this the first time through. For the littles, it might be more simple just to do some of these motions as we get through the song, kind of fill it out. You can kind of fill it out for your class and your family as you get to it too. Okay, so that is history. For Latin this week, we are moving on from present tense to imperfect tense. And so our reminder for this week and for starting this out, the first sound is B-A-M, which is pronounced bomb. And so we do this, we draw a bomb on the board to remind us that bombs make everything imperfect. And so the first time through this cycle, we actually used party poppers and kind of had a little fun as we said bomb, and we would let the party poppers go. That gets a little bit messy. If you're okay with that, go for it. It was fun, definitely. This year, I'm changing it up, and we are going to have our little foam balls, our squares, and then what we'll do is we'll start out and we'll say bomb. When we say that part, one person will get to release it and make everything imperfect, and as we sing the rest of the song, we will collect all of these. I only have like 7 or 8 of them, maybe up to 10, so that's not too much to collect, but that's what the kids are doing while we sing the rest of the song, collecting these so that we can go around again and somebody else has a chance to release them from their hands. And that'll be a super fun, active way for the kids to review these imperfect tense. All right, for timeline, we are moving on to Japan's isolation. So we're going to do the shape of Japan and then move our hand like this when we say isolation. Then we have Jamestown and Plymouth Colony founded. For that, we're going to make P's with our hand, and we're going to kind of move them like this, like the shape of the bibs that Pilgrims wore, because the Jamestown and Plymouth Colony were founded by the Pilgrims. Then when you do this with your P's, then you put your hand on here like something was not there and now it's founded there. So Jamestown and Plymouth Colony founded. Then we have the Age of Enlightenment. So we move our hand around our head like this to show enlightenment. Like we're thinking, right? Things are going off in our brain. Then we have Hudson's. We're going to make an H. Hudson's Bay Company. So we're going to make our hand like it is land and then make a B, and we're going to make the shape of like a bay against the land. So this is water and this is a B. So Hudson's Bay Company. Then we have the First Great Awakening. So your eyes are shut and then they're open. First Great Awakening. And then we have the classical period of the arts. This was a time of simplicity and order. So we do the sign for order when we say classical period of the arts. And then the 7 Years' War, 7. And then year, you take 1 and then you go all the way around representing a full year, right? And war is the same as we've done in the past for war. And that is all of our timeline. For geography, we're learning about the Levant. And that is Turkey, Cyprus, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And we sing this to the tune of Camptown Races. And it sounds like this. Turkey, Cyprus, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Turkey, Cyprus, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. And that is how we're going to cover that area of our geography this week. And last but not least, for memory work, we have science. And for science, we are learning what are 2 forms of energy, kinetic and potential. And so we take these little rocket launchers. I got these at either the Target dollar spot or the dollar store. What you could use in place of these if you don't have something like this is just a simple hair tie or a rubber band. And basically what we're showing is when it's pulled back, this is potential energy, because as soon as I release it, this thing's going to fly. And then when it actually flies, that is kinetic energy. When it's moving and in motion, that is kinetic energy. So what we're going to do at the front of the class, we will take turns and we'll say, show me potential energy, and they'll pull it back. show me kinetic energy, and they'll release it, and as it's moving, that is our kinetic energy. We'll go through that several times. This is a fun week because there's lots of different fun things that you can do to demonstrate the memory work that we're learning, but that is what we will do for our memory work this week. Now, moving on to review, we are going to play memory dice. This is a super fun game. It gets all the students moving, all of us. I mean, you get the tutor too, but it's a great game to review lots of things and keep things fun. My littles played this last week. We ended up doing this instead of Jenga, and they loved it. So I promised them that we could do it again. And basically, I have a sheet here of all the different things that it could be depending on what number you roll. I will post right up here just some examples of what you could do, 1 through 6, for instance. If you roll a number 1, you hop on 1 foot while you review. If you roll a 2, you say it while you're doing jumping jacks. A 3 is covering your ears while you say it. A 4 is saying it from underneath a table. A 5 is spinning around as you say it. And a 6 is putting your head on a chair while you say it. So it's just kind of fun things that gets them up and moving, and they have to get to their space, but then they're excited to review it once they get there. And it just makes it a little bit exciting. And all you need for that is a little, or a big, I don't have a bigger one, I've seen big ones, just a little die. And that is what we're going to do for a review. Super, super fun. All right, for ideas at home this week, our Indescribable devotion, as usual, they have a page that talks about our science, and that is page 10, I believe, this week. Yeah, so this week for science, we're doing the bottle organ, and page 10 talks about sound waves in this devotion. And so that is our Indescribable. If you'd like to watch a video, Magic School Bus has another video. I love that they have so many videos that apply to our science, but we are learning about energy this week for science, and so they have one called Getting Energized, and it's season 2, episode 10. And that's Magic School Bus. For older kids, you could also watch Crash Course, and they have one all about World War I, and it's number 36 on YouTube, Crash Course. Okay, for eating our geography and bringing all of the areas that we're learning home this week, we could eat foods that are from the area that we're reviewing. So Turkey, Cyprus, Syria, the whole Levant area. And so some of the things that I thought would be fun to try as a meal or a snack this week, beans and lentils are very popular and very common in that area. So you could do lentil soup, some kind of a bean salad. I could look up the spices and herbs that are used in that area to kind of season it. Falafel is another popular dish that is eaten in that area. If you haven't heard of that, look it up. Falafel is delicious, but it is also it's kind of like a bean. You put it in a pita and like a bean sandwich. Other things that are popular or common are dips. You could do like a hummus or a baba ganoush. We all know what hummus is here. I wasn't as familiar as baba ganoush until recently, but baba ganoush is basically eggplant that is flame roasted, and then you put olive oil, lemon juice, pomegranate seeds, and onions, tomatoes. You can kind of garnish it with parsley, but it's super healthy, kind of makes me think Mediterranean-ish, but those are some popular and common foods of that area that would be fun to try this week. And of course, Old World Echoes for week 15, another good book, and I will post some library books that could apply to this week as well. And I think that is everything for this week. I hope you guys have a fantastic week 15. I hope that this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you again for week 16. Bye. That, when it actually flies,